Hello, West Pacific Market Analytics, and it's Glenn here. I thought we'd try to do this quick X video on some of the models that I posted this week and get you to better understand the way I do data modeling and so you can better understand what we're doing. So let's just jump right into it. If you want to get hold of me, destinytrading@gmail.com, where I have a paid member Discord channel. I'm still going to be running videos on YouTube, even though I pulled back from that because I've simply my time constraints have not allowed me to be doing much over there as of late, but that will continue at some point. I was hoping potentially to get something on in the coming week. Disclaimer real quick for West Pacific Market Analytics, these updates and charts are for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always be aware, risk capital is dangerous, and be careful out there. It's going to get really crazy ahead. All right, let's jump into it. So let's just start right at the first one here. Here we are in the page. Let's go right to this first model on what I'm showing here on NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA is just taken forever here. You can see just this huge head and shoulders top right here. Here's your 212, there's your head, 184 left shoulder, and now working over here on a right shoulder. This whole head and shoulders pattern here then sets up a much larger shoulder over here. So very likely we could now see a sell-off, and we've got support once we break this line here. Now you see this line, this I call it the gate, right? It's a technical point. You notice here how it held. You notice here how it held, because as long as this trend is open or above this middle line right here, you see right here how it was able to break below, because this trend was able to break below this line. So you see the trend broke right here and then went back here, and then Twitter went back. So we had this down point here with the negative trend, or a closed trend as I like to call it. So in other words, to get below this one, we're right now at about 180, we need to get below that line, we need to have this trend go to negative, and that hasn't happened yet. Now you can see on this sell-off where we tested here, it started to go down, wasn't able to break. Same here, started to go down, wasn't able to break. So until this trend opens up below, you just don't want to short this. Now, looking at this model, you don't want to be sitting too long in this thing. This very nice looking head and shoulders pattern. Again, the V channel is now working its way lower, and support below is 108. So I truly feel that we could have a very good size sell-off. You see this box I drew right here? And that was the size how far we were able to get below the trend last time. And that would take us to about 114. So we could get a spike down to 108. And what I think could happen is once that happens, we come down, we have a very fast sell-off, and then we're probably going to rally back up, because we cannot get too far below this gate without this gate rolling over, and then trend's going to work its way down it. So if we get any kind of fast sell-off here at the start of the year in something like NVIDIA, I mean, it would be a fast down and then a rally back up. And again, that would put us, to retrace if this started to roll over, you could see this thing come down to 108 and then rally back up to 158, even 171. It could be violent here, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing in the near term pretty soon, is this kind of finally the market's going to flush out. And you can see here that the trend, you notice here, this is when they're buying. So when you see this is a big solid trend like this is money coming in. You see back here, red, and I put the market in blue. You can see, because the two track, I mean, NVIDIA is a really big portion of the technology area, and you can see when this is rising that we have strong trend like this. When this is dark color is here, then that is the volume coming in. So again, that's what I'm seeing. I'd be very careful. I wouldn't short this until it breaks down. And you can see this model here, again, that shoulder over here, the shoulder here, the shoulder here. And then this now, the MOC, or the momentum of circulation, starting to roll over. But the directional circulation looks like it's going to take some time. So that could easily set up this kind of sell-off move down and then back up into the channel here, which would correspond with how that other model sets up as well. The structure here is really weak. I mean, it's just hanging up there, and it really looks like it's setting up to sell off soon. Bitcoin model, I put that up there. It's kind of the same idea. We've got major support on a gate at 69.5. We're getting close to it. We can't get that far away from this channel here, right? So I think we might even see a similar type setup where we get the sell off and then a rally back up. So it kind of looks like what we're seeing there a little bit in NVIDIA. So, right now you notice this line here in brown, that was a major top right there. And until that turns around, there's no going long or considering Bitcoin to roll higher. The same with XRP. Now look on XRP, this is the velocity model. You notice how we're just trending along here, but you notice how over time here, the directional circulation was building up here, right? And then it created this big above momentum channel, and notice price went right up into the momentum channel. And then as velocity built, we then worked into the velocity. We continue to rise up into the velocity. Now look at how the velocity is rolled over. And notice how the directional circulation is now forming a top right here and is rolling over with the V channel now down here. So as long as the trend and the velocity continue to roll out here, you do not want to go long XRP. We need to see this change. We need to see kind of a low put in. And we'll see how far it wants to go down. But that is just not a chart or a model that you want to be playing around with. Now, could this be holding true? I'm not a fan of Elliott Wave, right? But the V channel right now for Bitcoin is around about 20,000. And up here to where it's priced right now. So there's a big gap. And there's that support, right, at right about 69.5 that I was just talking about there. Bitcoin being here in red. But it's kind of interesting because this is Bitcoin in red, and then this is the stock market in black, right? And I've always questioned, what was the whole purpose of Bitcoin? Was it to provide additional liquidity to the market? Which I very well think could be the case, that would make sense. Trillions of extra dollars coming in, yes, being traded in Bitcoin, but who knows how they're creating liquidity with that. And you can see Bitcoin had a wave one up out of its low back in the 2000, early 2010, 11, 12 period, and that had a very nice looking corrective move to a wave two. And then this whole count, coming up here to a 3, which timed to what I feel could be a 3 top in the market. I feel like this 2020 low was out of the 2009 low. It almost looks like it was kind of a major wave corrected coming back to a 3, 4, 5 here, right? So this would have been part of the 3 structure coming up here, and this was a very nice looking ABC corrective move in 2022. And then you notice here in the market a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, very clean, and now it looks like we finished off the 5 top here. And then Bitcoin with that 3, 4, and then finally a 5 thrust as well. So, it looks like the markets and the Bitcoin could both be in a major topping situation right here. Now, again, it's Elliott Wave, so I don't necessarily want to be looking at that as what could be the case. Now, when I talk about the 300-year cycle, I'm talking about 1776 out into 2076, right? So, this whole structure here, we could be looking at coming out of the Federal Reserve as a kind of a wave 1 period of one of the waves of the 300-year cycle, and then a wave 2 corrected move down, and then this whole massive thing out of the 1932 low is just a huge wave 3, because if we still got to go to 2076, that could then set up a big wave 4 corrective move that could last a decade. This sell-off from 1 to 2 lasted 3 years. But I think this could last, this could last anywhere from 6 years to a little bit more. I don't think it's going to be 3 years to some sort of a low. So this could very well be a major top here in this whole 300-year cycle. And it's interesting because if we took a count out of that low, we got a really clean 1, 2 right here. And then we got a very clean 3, 4 looking structure to this whole pattern. You see it? 1, 2, 3, 4. This being the wave 1, this being the wave 2. And this being the wave 5. And then we've got a focus signal up here. So, we've got to be aware. I know markets seem like they go up forever because they've been going up forever since 1943. But at some point, we could reach another major top and end up in a very deflationary-like situation that we had back here from 29 to 32. And everybody says that can't happen before. But yes, I believe it can happen. And I don't think it's going to happen right away. I only see a small corrective move probably this year. That's not going to be much. Then a rally, and then we're going to head down into the elections. So I don't think we're going to get too far until the other side of the elections coming out around 28. So, I'm talking after, that could start to come more in play a little bit more down the road. And you can see here this signal top in May of 2007. Then you notice that there's the same signal top we had here in August of 2025. But notice out of that May 2007 top, we still continue to rally. Notice it right there. We still continued to rally until we started to sell off. And here we've continued to rally, right? But we've got the signal and we've got the signal. So, that can definitely say something. And you notice here that if we took this idea, let me go back to that because I think that is extremely interesting. If we took this idea that this was a wave 3 to 4, that means we should have had a pretty strong looking bottom at the bottom of this. And then this is a top, and we can see that here in that model. So you see right here the nice looking curve on the dot curve right here. There's your momentum low. At the low in 2009, it was already forming a momentum low. And you notice how this pink line, which I call the MOC, or the momentum of circulation, is already rising. So this was a very strong looking low. Now you look here, we've now got it rolling over, forming what I call more not a momentum low, but a momentum top. And you can see that this has already fallen away and it's come up a little bit, but our V channel is now down here, saying what we're modeling here, this red indicator now needs to come down here. So I mean, the structure is completely different. It's nothing like the May 2007 top. This is completely different simply because of the positioning here of the directional circulation curve. And you notice how silver had a parabolic blow-off. You notice we've got a parabolic blow-off here in technology. It's a blow-off in AI. And that's what I see when I look at that model. And then we look at this parabola blow-off idea again here in tech. You'll notice this signal we had in 2000. It was just a single signal, purple. And you notice in 2002, it was just a signal purple. And there is our bigger signal right there, again, out there in 2025. Again, like that signal we had here, we showed on the last model in 2025. So that will be interesting to see. Okay, so let's continue on here and look at that. I had a phone call coming in, but I'll get that afterwards. Let's push on here. And again, you can see this idea, right, of a parabolic blow-off here in silver. You see it? I mean, whenever you go up, and silver wants to come all the way back down here, which prices it back below $30. Silver could finish this blow-off and then start to correct down and get back here. It wants to go into the V channel. So, I mean, boy, whoever got that sell up there at around 120 on silver, extremely strong, extremely strong. And you can see the breadth in the market. You notice how breadth topped out here. 2021, and you notice this big top out here in breadth. We had one top out, but it pushed up again, and again the channel is below. The channel was below here, and the channel is below here. So again, the breadth model looks very, very overbought, overstretched, and overbought. AI has not fully rolled over yet. You see here at the top of velocity, it still needs to roll over, right? It's starting to. Price can't push any higher here because we're peaked out on velocity. You notice the pink line up there holding price. That still needs to roll over. So, I mean, we've been in this kind of grinding topping pattern since October, just this kind of sideways action. So I can't really say on time. That could still take a bit more time. We're just going to have to see how that works out. And I find this model I put up interesting. This is China topping back here in 2015 and has never seen new highs. Here's Russia topping in 2021, never seen new highs. Here's India topping in 2024. So there's your BRICS. And now we've had Brazil, the US, Japan, and Europe all topping at the same time. So remember, there's also a huge issue here going on between the BRICS and the West. Around the SWIFT system, they're talking about they want to bow out of the SWIFT system and set up their own way of exchange. Obviously, a lot of issues around China's been selling off all their treasuries, as of all the BRICS nations. So, I mean, this model kind of makes me think a lot along this idea of this kind of battle ongoing under the surface that we don't necessarily see. That's going to be part of what's ahead in the next 10 years. This kind of push-pull effect on the BRICS and the West trying to strategically push for positioning. There's no question that is something that's going to play. And then I was looking at this big volume model here. You notice back in 2020, the signal was down here, and it still had a price up here, right into the channel. Here's our momentum top coming out here into 2027. This now needs to price back down here ahead because it can't. So this is majorly overbought. This is majorly oversold. And that's not my opinion, okay? That's just the way that data works. That is just how it goes. Now, we could keep on going here. but I don't really want to go too much further on these. Let's take a look here at the consumer real quick. I put up this consumer model, and you notice the consumer, it's interesting when we look at XLY being the consumer discretionary, 20% of it is Amazon and 17% is Tesla. So when we model the XLY, you can see we've got a top out now in momentum. You notice it was too oversold here. I put too deep, right? Because we still had not topped out. You notice the momentum is only now just topping, and we're only just starting to roll over. So both Amazon and Tesla, which are of course driving this, look pretty topped out here. So that's another indicator that we're getting ready for some sort of sell-off here into the next quarter. And we could see that in the technology area, the AI area, and in those models as well. So let's make it that for today. Thanks for tuning in. You want to get a hold of me again, you can do that at destinytrading@gmail.com, and we'll give this a try for a few weeks. Thanks for tuning in. Glenn out.